Every day, people discover strange things that have been under our noses all along. Some of these discoveries are scientifically enlightening, some are bone-chilling, and others are just downright weird. But one thing is for certain, the more we find and uncover, the more we know there is to be found. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we will be diving deep into 3 recent discoveries. "69-year-old Harry Burleigh found in the woods." The Oregon wilderness is a stunning but dangerous thing. Anything could happen in the woods, and nature and its fauna can be unpredictable. It is why news of survivors who were trapped in the wilderness for prolonged periods of time is extraordinary and shocking to hear about, and the case here is no different. Of all the things to expect in May, snow is generally not one of them, but that is what greeted Burleigh the following morning. Over the course of the following 16 days, Burleigh desperately focused solely on his survival. He figured out a way to make fire with the use of a magnifying glass and kept thirst at bay by drinking dew from leaves and trees. There was little food for him to consume in the freezing cold of the woods, so Burleigh turned to insects as a main source of energy. When interviewed about his remarkable survival, Burleigh stated, "I wanted one more day. I wanted to get home to see my wife, and so many others. I just wanted one more day. I left that mountaintop with something I did not have before. My body was beat beyond what I thought it could give. My mind was stretched beyond what I thought I could do. But my life spark, that loving energy that we have within us, was filled." His wife reported him as missing on the 7th of May when he failed to return from his fishing camping trip, afraid something bad had happened to her husband. The Douglas County Police and Jackson County authorities gathered a search and rescue party to try and find Burleigh. The search was tedious and strenuous, but worth the trouble to save his life. The search continued for the entire 2 weeks, during which his car was found abandoned at the lower trailhead of the Forest Service Trail a day after he was officially declared missing. With each day that passed, more and more rescuers began to lose faith in recovering the elderly man alive. The bitter cold and odds of anyone surviving decreased drastically every night that went by. Still, they did not give up and continued their search, finding a trace of him at last on the 16th of May when they found his temporary shelter. Burleigh himself was not there, but the shelter and tackle box he left by the Calf Creek instilled fresh hope in the search team, who proceeded to look around the area for him. It took another week before he was found, but those involved left a cardboard sign for him to find should he return to the shelter, telling him to stay put and not go anywhere. They also supplied a food cache for him. Search and rescue found him before he succumbed to the elements, and he had to spend an additional 15 days in a hospital in order to recover from his injuries and the severe hypothermia and dehydration he suffered during those 17 days of desperate survival. Additionally, to the physical damage his body took, Burleigh lost a whole 30 pounds according to a statement released by the sheriff's office. Burleigh was in a stable condition when he was found, being able to walk around with only minor injuries and aches, but the dehydration and hypothermia were the more concerning factors when it came to his health. Sergeant Brad Odell stated about the matter in an official press release. "This was the outcome we all have been looking for in this case. It is because of our determined search and rescue teams and the partnerships we have with other SAR teams from around the state that Mr. Burleigh has been reunited with his family this evening. The Sheriff's Office wants to thank everyone who is involved in this mission." And yet, despite this, Harry Burleigh's love for nature and hiking has not been deterred, as he claims he cannot wait to get back to the woods. Man taking a bathroom break in the woods finds human remains. One thing you do not expect to find on an average day is human remains. Unfortunately for one man in Utahville, South Carolina, on the 9th of April, is exactly what he found. The man in question was simply driving down a dirt road when he was on his lunch break from work, a day as any other, and yet when he left his car on the side of the road in order to relieve himself halfway on his journey home, he made a horrific discovery. Orangeburg County deputies stated that the man went into the woods, where he soon found human remains and immediately called the police to alert them of his shocking finding, after he returned to his site of work, where he was working with his brother. Deputy Coroner Sean Fogel was the assigned deputy to head out and investigate, and so he went to identify the remains after being given the whereabouts by the man who found the remains. A forensic anthropologist is said to be currently studying the human remains, but not much has yet been released about the specifics of whose remains they are or what happened to them. It is terrifying to consider how easily a normal day can go awry by no fault of our own. How walking your dogs can become a rescue mission to save a drowning dog, or how the mundane act of stopping on the side of the road to relieve oneself in the woods can lead to a prospective murder investigation. Nature is a beautiful but dark place, and life can throw the most horrifying of curveballs. Medieval skeleton pulled from Thames, still wearing thigh-high leather boots. London's River Thames has been a staple landmark of England for centuries, but the river holds countless secrets, including the remains of a skeleton from 5 centuries ago. The bones were found during a Thames excavation project called the Thames Tideway Tunnel, meant to divert sewage from the river. This skeleton is not the only one found deep beneath the Thames, as people have settled around it for millennia. It is bound to have its own rich history hidden in the soil of its riverbank and bed. The skeleton had its face down and one arm up, and on his corpse was a pair of thigh-high riding boots, whose condition was only partially rotted. Beth Richardson, who works at the Museum of London Archaeology, commented on this finding. It's extremely rare to find any boots from the late 15th century, let alone a skeleton still wearing them. It might seem like boots are nothing special in the world of archaeology, but the discovery has undoubtedly shaken a plethora of archaeologists. This is because, as Richardson stated, the find is extremely rare. Of all past relics, boots and other such clothing items never survive long enough to be found and analysed by researchers. In the words of La Trobe's University of Melbourne's dress historian Hilary Davidson, historic clothing mostly survives accidentally, and the further back in time, the less there is. The majority of survivals are therefore elite or special garments that are exceptional compared with what the majority of people would have worn. Clothing is not just made to last for centuries. Having said that, when it is found, clothing from the past gives amazing insight into the individuals wearing them and the time period they passed away in. For this resident skeleton, his position and the fact he still had the boots on him suggests that he was a person of relative but not immense wealth. The boots were stitched together with flax thread and were of sound quality with reinforced soles. However, the style of the boot was unpopular during the time of his departure from life. These were unmistakably 14th or 15th century working boots. The man seems to have been a river fisherman and thus would have worn these boots to keep his legs from becoming wet. Furthermore, his skeletal remains showed his teeth were worn, as a sailor or fisherman's might be after years of running ropes through their mouths when tying ships to docks. Unfortunately, it is speculated that he had a sorrowful end to his life, as the boots would have likely been removed had he been buried by his family, as leather was valued at this time and often taken to be reused, thus suggesting the man was at the oldest in his mid-30s, perished in the midst of his work, be it from drowning or falling. Leather is significantly more durable than other fabrics, hence its survival in the mud of the Thames all these years. As more research is being conducted on the boots, we may receive further insight into the man and his life from 500 years ago. But what do you make of these interesting discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.